Welcome to the Welcome, everybody. We are getting closer to defeating the invisible scourge, as many of you, of course, know. I guess I'm sort of being serious in the sense that every day we're one day closer. It's just not really clear how far we are. Massachusetts, my home state, is starting to do some reopening. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going up. And at the top of the hour, we are expecting a Trump coronavirus roundtable on the topic of restaurants and industry or industry. Hello. We are standing by on three different streams coming at the top of the hour. Will be very exciting. What else do we have? I have some clips to play for you, and we're going to look at the latest numbers and a whole bunch of different stuff. We have countries that are doing very, very, very poorly. Russia, India, Brazil, increasingly the most in trouble places. So we're going to be talking about that. And certainly we are very, very far from over. Welcome to everybody watching on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Much concern over my urban garden. It's fine. You can check in with me about that on my Instagram page. I also have a watermelon destruction video on my Instagram, which maybe I'll play for people in a little bit. Yes, my hair is completely out of control. I was actually, just as a test, I was able to put it in a man bun over the weekend. So it is possible. I've confirmed it's possible. And maybe, if we get to 50 website members, I will actually do it on stream tomorrow. And I mean, it's actually getting so bad that a fruit fly flew out of it yesterday. At one point yesterday, I went like this and a fruit fly flew out, and it was really, really weird and scared a lot of people around me. Let's see here. What else do we have? Okay, I guess let's get right into it. Starting with the latest numbers. Officially 4.8 million cases globally, 318,000 deaths, as many of you know. This is a fraction of the real number of deaths, of the real number of cases, rather. The deaths number, we believe, is relatively close. In the United States, we now have surpassed 1.5 million cases and are rapidly approaching 100,000 deaths. There are states where things are improving. There are states where things don't seem to be improving. I talk about that on the broadcast program and podcast today. New York is one example where we look at the numbers and they certainly are getting much better. That is the type of curve that you want to see. We could look at, I don't know, let's see how things are going in Massachusetts, my home state. Not bad. And again, so we never had that big of a peak. So we're only down about half because the peak was not that high. So, okay, you've got to interpret all of these numbers. You look at a state like Pennsylvania, they were an early hotspot, and then we see, okay, not as dramatic of a decrease, but you were still seeing one. So that's all going okay. Now, you all know that I bring you the truth. I have a segment on today's podcast about the fact that California and Texas, one which has been locked down for 2 months and one which has reopened weeks ago, the curves aren't that different. Okay, so this is the California curve. It's sort of going up. This is the Texas curve. Where is it? Here we go. This is the California and Texas curves are different in absolute numbers, but they are very similar in terms of the shape. I don't pretend to know why. Are either or both states lying about data or data? I don't know. Is there something about the temperature in Texas versus California? It doesn't seem like it. I don't know the answer, but what I can tell you is when you look at New Jersey and Florida, very closed versus open, the curves look similar. When you look at California and Texas, one very closed, one open, the curves look similar. I don't have the answer. The only thing I've read about anything remotely like this is the idea that the lockdowns reduce the aggregate number of cases and deaths, but that the shape of the curve, the increase and the decrease, ends up being very similar. I'm not pretending to know anything more than that, and hopefully we will learn more about that as time comes. We are standing by for a top of the hour Trump coronavirus restaurant event that is coming soon. I'm glad that you are here. Oh, people say my voice sounds strained. No, let me take a sip of water. Just kidding. I did have the hiccups earlier, and I think that that may have done a little something to my voice. Kevin McComer says via Super Chat, I'm for Medicare for all, but I don't think most people should go to college. They would be better off working, make it cheaper, but definitely not free. Mart Fillion says nothing but sends a super chat. Carmen Edwards says, what's up, Pacman? I'd like to see a good graph on comparison. How many people died last year this time to current deaths this year? Where to look? Yeah, so just Google excess all-cause mortality. Excess all-cause mortality is what you want to see. Waller is me says, did you hear about the Lancet's weekly peer-reviewed General Medical Journal article urging American voters to not re-elect Trump? I heard about it. I didn't read it yet. And Mart Fillion says, hey, David, love the show and everything that you do. Well, if you saw some of the things I did, I don't know that you would love them, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it nonetheless. Let's continue looking at our data. We are finally getting up into the numbers of tests that are only a few times short of where we need to be, as opposed to many times short of where we need to be. We finally had over 400,000 tests yesterday. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row of 300K plus. That's good. So we're starting to get to a testing number that is still about 10%. It's insane. We now only need to go 10x where we are as opposed to 50x where we are. But okay, we're starting to see a few more tests. Donald Trump just earlier. Actually, should we do this now? Yeah, okay, we'll do this now. So this is from last week. Donald Trump was presented with a Space Force flag in the office, and it's pretty cringe. I'm going to play it, and you'll see a weird moment where Donald Trump goes over, and there's like something weird happens to the flag, and everybody flinches. It's really awkward. This is total cringe.
That's fantastic, Roger.
Okay, so pay close attention now.
That is great. You stay right there.
I don't know what that is that happens. Let's get one more look at it when the flag just shakes. Anyway, so that went on, and then Trump at this same event referred to supposedly having a super duper missile that is, I think he said 17 times faster than the ones we have.
Incredible military equipment at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We have no choice. We have to do it with the adversaries we have out there. We have, I call it the super duper missile. And I heard the other night 17 times faster than what they have right now. Then you take the fastest missile we have right now. You've heard Russia has 5 times, and China's working on 5 or 6 times. We have one 17 times, and it's just gotten the go-ahead. 17 times faster, if you can believe that, General. That's something, right? 17
Yes,
times
Mr.
faster
President,
than what we have right now.
So anyway, my understanding is that our fastest missile is the PJ-10, which goes at Mach 3. So 17 times faster would be like Mach 51. I don't know anything about. I mean, we tried to get a comment. It's not clear who's saying what. It's all really, really weird. Was this leaking classified information? We just have no idea. We don't know at this point in time. Kayleigh McEnany, or MAGA Nanny, was asked about it. She said, talk to the Pentagon. The Pentagon said, talk to the White House. Eventually, the Pentagon said, we're buying hypersonic stuff. I have no idea. We may never know the truth of what Trump is talking about here. The hang Fauci signs have started. This is hang Fauci, hang Gates, open up all our states. Hang Fauci, hang Gates. You guys get it, okay? They know how to rhyme. And so that's going on, calling for the death. Before it was fire Fauci, now it's hang Fauci. So that's going on. And then, and then here is the dumb one, Eric Trump. Listen to what he said on Wacky Judge Janine's show.
76 days to be exact away. And listen, Biden loves this. Biden can't go out on stage without making some horrible blunder. I mean, even from his basement, he's making awful gaffes every single day. So his campaign's thrilled that he's not going out there. And they think they're taking away Donald Trump's greatest tool, which is being able to go into an arena and fill it with 50,000 people every single time.
Right? Okay, I'm not aware of any arenas where Trump had an audience of 50,000. Now, let's think that through. One virulent Trumpist said, dude, he went to India and he got more than 50,000 people. Hold on a second. So that was one time. And that was a crowd for the Indian prime minister. Half the crowd left when it was Trump's chance to speak. So this can't be about that one time Trump went to India. Someone else wrote me and said, well, look at that crowd when Trump went to the college football game. The crowd was there for the game. Trump regularly lying about crowd sizes. Apparently it runs in the family. And let's continue a little bit more.
Right. So they will. And you watch, they'll milk it every single day between now and November 3rd. And guess what? After November 3rd, coronavirus will magically all of a sudden go away and disappear and everybody will be able to reopen. They're trying to deprive him of his greatest asset, which is the fact that the American people.
So anyway, coronavirus is not going to go away on Election Day. Now, that actually happened with Ebola in 2014. I don't know how many of you remember this, but we had 4 cases of Ebola in the U.S. with 2 deaths. 4 cases, 2 deaths. You understand what I'm saying? And up until the day of the 2014 midterms, I covered it at the time. I was 7 years old at the time. I was doing the show. And the day after the midterms, you never heard about it again. That was actually what Republicans did with Ebola in 2014. We had 2 deaths. We're close to 100,000 here, and this is what Eric Trump is saying. So he is as much of a liar as Don Jr., but he's not as good at telling the lies. Eric Trump, I consider Eric Trump the dumb one, and I know that that seems pejorative, and it is, but that's the way that I see it, my friends. Okay, let's get over to Twitch. I want to say thank you on Twitch to G Money Rider, who just subscribed and says 5 months already. I have listened for more than 5 years, and the live streams have been some of my favorite content so far. Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, Tom has subscribed on Twitch. Remember, you can subscribe for free with Twitch Prime if you have an Amazon Prime membership. Really, really easy to do. You go to twitch.amazon.com. Welcome if you're watching on YouTube. Of course, remember to like the stream and to hit that subscribe button. A few super chats coming in. Let's see here. Mart Fillion says, man, am I glad to live in Canada with our healthcare system. I totally understand that. Matthias Germany says, did you see the German soccer league restarting? I did. I don't know much about what sort of public safety guidelines they're putting in place, but I did see that they are restarting. No, says Deepak Gigachad, what is the point of Space Force? I don't know. I have no idea. Bernie Sanders says, what are your thoughts on modern monetary theory? Numerous interviews about this. Check out my interview with Stephanie Kelton on the channel from just a couple of weeks ago. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Time is weird right now. It's in the last 2 weeks. I interviewed Stephanie Kelton. I've interviewed Pavlina Cherneva about modern monetary theory and others. So all very, very widely documented stuff on my YouTube channel. If you're just joining us, we do have a scheduled Trump coronavirus event in just 1 minute. None of our feeds we're monitoring very, very strongly. The Washington Post, Fox News, as well as the White House stream, none have yet gone live. So we presume that it's going to be a little bit longer. No ponytail today. I did over the weekend test, and I am able to get a ponytail. I do have pictures of it on my phone, but I am not doing it right now. Also, some fruit flies at one point flew out of my hair over the weekend, and so it's definitely getting bad. But here's some interesting news. Massachusetts is starting to reopen. So we have a whole bunch of stuff that's going on in Massachusetts, but as of today, Massachusetts is in phase 1, okay? What happens today? Manufacturing facilities and construction sites will open today with applicable guidelines. Places of worship, that's how I call it, worship, like a battleship. Places of worship will be able to open with guidelines that require social distancing and encourage services to be held outdoors. Hospitals and community health centers that attest to specific public health and safety standards can begin to provide high priority preventative care, pediatric care, and treatment for high risk patients. And then, under a staggered approach, a week from today, we will have additional elements open. Lab space will open, office space. Hello. I don't know why everybody can just work from home. I think you should. Will open. Limited personal services, including hair salons, boom, pet grooming, and car washes. So what is my message to you because of the prevalence of hair salons maybe opening next Monday? If we are going to get to the man bun episode of the David Pakman show, we'd better do it this week. You understand what I'm saying, my friends? Because that could very, very dramatically be different. We are off on Memorial Day. Who knows what my physical appearance will be like come Tuesday, May 26th. It could be anything. Retail will be allowed to reopen with remote fulfillment and curbside pickup, also opening on May 25. Beaches, parks, drive-in movie theaters. I don't know if we have it. I mean, we must have some, otherwise it wouldn't be on the list. Select athletic fields and courts, many outdoor adventure activities, most fishing, hunting, and boating, outdoor gardens, zoos, reserves, and public installations. Additional sectors expected to open on June 1 as part of phase 1 include office spaces in the city of Boston with applicable guidelines. So this is what we have here in Massachusetts. Each phase will last a minimum of 3 weeks and could last longer. If public health data trends go negative, we may need to go to earlier phases. There will be industry-specific protocols in advance of future phases. For example, restaurant-specific protocols will be drafted in advance of phase 2. My belief is that phase 2 will contain restaurants. It says very clearly businesses are not required to reopen. And if you are going to reopen, you must develop a written COVID plan. I think it's being handled pretty responsibly. So I am pleased to see that. And of course, we're all going to continue behaving responsibly ad nauseum, as the term may be. Okay, other super chats coming in. Let's see here. Don't want to miss anybody. Jimmy Bignuts says, is it possible to be moral and a conservative? Anything's theoretically possible. Give me an example, though. That's what I would like to see. Samuel Lopez says, David, ¿escuchas música en español o inglés? I listen to music in English and Spanish. English and Spanish, both. Very, very strongly. Robert Mifflin says, isn't modern monetary theory counter to the Nordic model, more Venezuela? No, those are extremely inaccurate oversimplifications. Mart Fillion says, how many lies in that roundtable? I expect many lies in today's roundtable for sure. Alex Kepke says, David, I know we're 39th in tests per capita at the moment, but at a certain point, do you think it has to do with our large population? No, per capita accounts for the population. Alex, if you really don't know this, then okay, but this is a teachable moment. I assume that that's a joke. Per capita is adjusted to the population. Okay, I don't know. At this point, I am at a loss as to how else I can explain that. Danny Thompson says, how did I miss that we needed Space Force for protecting American interests in space? There was a lot of war language in that video. Super surreal. Very much so. Tiffany Nicole says, I love you, David. Love you too. Very much appreciate the support. Thank you. Okay, I had a couple of other things to look at. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, I am going to do new members soon. We do have a goal of 25. I will put my hair in a man bun at 50. Remember, if you're just joining us, to like the stream on YouTube and to follow if you're watching on Twitch. I want to say thank you to Oshinova, who has subscribed, can you believe it, for 10 months on Twitch, and says, I attempted a trim of my hair and ended up with a buzz cut. Have you rocked that look before? I used to have like a kind of kid and play high and tight back in 6th and 7th grade. It wasn't great. It really wasn't great. So I've stepped away from that to quite a degree. If you're just joining me and you're looking for something with some levity, here's a video I posted yesterday to my Instagram page. Remember that I'm David.Pacman on Instagram. I absolutely destroyed a watermelon. Look at me take this thing down. It stood no chance against me. Take a look at this. Going right in with the lefty use of a knife and just absolutely obliterating this thing one layer at a time. And it really, it offered no resistance. It completely fell apart. And I was able to get to that delicious, sweet, sweet red fruit. And obviously had to chill it. And just look at this. This is the type of high quality content you get on my Instagram at David.Pacman. It just had no shot, guys. The watermelon was never going to make it out of this alive. And just getting rid of that pith, as I like to call it. And then we go right in. Look at this. Look at that slicing action. Absolutely stunning. Filling up containers. Boom, one container done. Second one, here we go. Filled absolutely right up. Then I have to pull in mason jars because there was so much watermelon unleashed. Big mason jar, boom, boom, boom. Small mason jar. And then I start just eating a few pieces of it. Isn't that stunning? Has anybody ever seen anything like that? And that is a time lapse. That was a 16x time lapse, and it was a minute long. So I guess that means it took me 16 minutes to fully break it down. And that's on my Instagram page. Make sure you're following me there at David.Pacman, because it is very, very important to know how to break down a watermelon. Okay, other things I wanted to play for you guys today. I do have Donald Trump's Twitter up, and he's been tweeting a lot of agit trash. He just tweeted a video calling Mitt Romney a loser. Mitt Romney is one of the few Republican senators who's actually currently an elected official and calling Trump out. And so now Trump has this pinned to his Twitter page.
Yeah.
Barack Obama will be reelected president of the United States.
Plan B, Plan C, Plan D are now gone. And so you start looking at the Romney math and you're saying, well then, what's Plan E?
Tears and a gloomy atmosphere as supporters left the convention center in Boston following Romney's concession speech.
That was a race, I have to say, folks, that should have been won.
I wouldn't call anything encouraging for Hillary Clinton at the moment, to be honest with you, my friend.
Hillary Clinton has called Donald Trump to concede the race.
President of the United States.
Anyway, so this is a video with just loser. That's what Donald Trump tweeted there. Trump tweeting oil energy is back. Trump tweeting Sleepy Joe is wrong again. This is the president, right? Look at this absolutely unhinged tweet right here. So the so-called HHS whistleblower was against all caps hydroxychloroquine, as Trump says it. Then why did he make and sign an emergency use authorization? Nora O'Donnell said he shared his concerns with a reporter. In other words, he leaked a dumb 60 Minutes hit job on a grandstanding never-Trumper. These are the rantings of an absolute madman. And then just trash. This is the president of the United States. How many tweets is this all day? Dozens, absolutely dozens. Tweeting, Dan Bongino has me blocked. Yeah, so I can't see what the Dan Bongino retweet is. James Woods retweeting compliments from conservative actor James Woods, tweeting conspiracy videos about CNN's Caitlin Collins because she took her mask off at the end of the press briefing. It's crazy. I cannot believe that this is the reality we are in, and we need to make sure that it is removed in November. We need a new reality starting on January 21st. Thanks to Frisky Seal for subscribing with 3 months with Twitch Prime. I very much appreciate that. Also want to say thank you to Stephen, how do I pronounce this? Rathji? Stephen Rathji is new member number 1 today at joinpacman.com. And I also want to say thanks to Eli Gray, who is new member number 2 today at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciate that. Charlie says, very wet from the standpoint of watermelon. Absolutely. Jacob Ratner says, what are your thoughts on Bernie or Busters who don't seem to understand harm reduction? that honestly, I don't know. It's their problem. I don't, it can't be on me to explain everything to everybody. I've issued my perspective and I'm not going to go around arguing with people or evangelizing. But listen, to some of them, Biden over Trump is not harm reduction. Okay, just own it. Just say you prefer Trump and then we're all on the same page, right? Let's just get it out of the way. Mart Fillion says, David, how far are we from a cooking show? We are pretty far. We are pretty far from a cooking show for now. JR says, media hating, fringe, praise hungry, Adderall snorting, racist, data distorting, crude, lying. Entertainment soon turns to anger, anger to exhaustion, exhaustion to apathy if not checked. Stay awake, stay smart. All right, a very important message from JR. Daniel Rivera says, what safeguards are or will there be to prevent another Trump? There are none. There are none. And we may well have another Trump, or we may have this Trump for another 4 years. Jerry Lou Rice says, you said my last name right. It's Rathje. Rathje. Okay, very good. Mike Krzyzewski says, if somehow everything went back to normal in an instant, what public establishment would you visit first? I have no idea. I have no idea. I'd have to think about that. But none obviously strikes me as the one. But I would have any number of places to visit, and I would get right to them for sure. If you're just joining us, we are about 10, 11 minutes past when we were expecting a coronavirus reopening roundtable with the president and restaurant executives and industry leaders, as Trump says, scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern, has not yet started, and we are not live anywhere yet. Usually Fox News will take it live in advance of the start of the event. We aren't there yet. So we will continue to stand by. Name Withheld asks, does Trump know putting oil in reserve was a bad thing and conceding to Saudi Arabia and artificially trying to keep oil prices from plummeting? Trump has no idea what he's doing. Your question implies that Trump has any kind of understanding of economics, currency, energy, geopolitics. I mean, just Trump has no understanding of any of these things. So no, Donald Trump does not know about any of that stuff at all. I see our friends on Twitch, some new Twitch followers are having trouble signing up with Prime. And I don't know why this happens, but it's very easy. If you're watching on a computer, if you put your mouse over the video, like over my face, a blue button will show up, which will allow you to subscribe with Prime. You do have to connect Amazon Prime to Twitch Prime. It's very easy. You can read about it at twitch.amazon.com. But I don't know, there often is confusion about how to sign up with Twitch Prime. And it's relatively straightforward. And Frisky Seal, for example, just signed up with Twitch Prime, which we love, which we absolutely love. Okay, Mart Fillion says, when are you getting on with a chess tournament? We may do it later this week. We've just been so busy between the regular show and, podcast, all that stuff. We've expanded the broadcast show 10 minutes every single day, 10%. It's 10% longer every single day. And then we've got the streams. We've had a lot of, elements of accounting and legal lately, just getting certain things sorted out. So I would like to do it later this week. I will announce it if that's happening. If not, it might be a little bit later. But we will announce it for sure. In the meantime, I've not even had that much time to play chess personally. People are wanting the YouTube. Yeah, let me show. So we did my watermelon video on YouTube with a very specific soundtrack. I'll show it to you and see what people think about this. I think it's pretty funny. Hold on a second. Here we go. So we did the watermelon video on my Instagram, david.pacman, with absolutely no audio. But check out how we did it on YouTube. And people seem to be reacting to this beautifully. People seem to really eat this right up. We just got an ad here. Here we go.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body,
It's like a
which
moment
you
of
can do
zen.
either through the skin or in some other way.
Through the skin.
And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute.
Look at
1
me go.
minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But
Elements of medical.
it sounds interesting to me. The new headline is Trump asks people to go outside. That's dangerous. Here we go. Same old group. You ready? I hope people enjoy the sun.
There we go. So timed absolutely perfectly. That could be a good TikTok thing, right? Now, does anybody know, can you do a minute-long video on TikTok? I don't even know. I just have such a lack of familiarity with TikTok. Anybody know how long is a TikTok video? We don't know. You can do a minute. Okay, I may upload that to my TikTok. Beautiful. Nobody knows. All right, very good. I love it when nobody in the chat has any idea. Okay, let me say a few other thank yous. Elmary Vazamis says, hi, would like to know if you get a lot of ladies. What do you think, Elmary? Come on. AJ Brown has subscribed at the soy boy level. Robin Anderson says, hi, David. I live in South Africa. Why does President Trump never mention countries from Africa when comparing the U.S. testing stats? I don't know that Trump is aware of many countries from Africa. And I know that sounds crazy, but didn't he once made up the name of an African country that didn't exist? I think he combined Zambia and Namibia to create Nambia at one point. So I would certainly not expect much of that from Donald Trump whatsoever. Trump is barely aware of Africa. It's tragic, but he barely is. Let's see if Donald Trump has updated the start time of this event. Not so far, just the Mitt Romney thing. So yeah, we don't know exactly when this is going to be starting, but we are standing by, and it could be starting very, very soon. Let me say thank you to Fresh Tank for subscribing with Twitch Prime subscription. I absolutely love it. And Donald Trump was scheduled to speak 18 minutes ago. 18 minutes ago. It has not yet started. Welcome if you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. It looks like this has been again rescheduled for 2 minutes from now. We do have a sort of countdown going. The Washington Post has gone live with a black screen. They're blacked out or browned out, as some people like to say. The White House feed has not started, but we again have a 90-second countdown on the Fox News channel. Mart Fillion says, cannot wait to play against you. Oh, yeah. Playing against me in chess is really no big deal. I mean, I'm not that good, quite frankly. In fact, I'm pretty bad. I was only beating, in my last chess tournament, I was really only beating people who don't play at all, like people who were absolutely clueless at chess. And, there was really nothing special to it, I must say. Let me invite you to, we've got a weird Zoom. There we go. Let me invite you to support the stream and all of our content by grabbing a membership on my website at joinpacman.com. We have quadrupled the computing power, the resources on our website, because sometimes the website would crash during streams. We are primarily funded by memberships on our website. So we had a very rough March and April, very, very rough. 722 members canceled in March and April. Why? Because 20% of the country's unemployed. I get it. I harbor no hard feelings or resentment whatsoever. If you are someone who can support the work we do with $1 a month, $2 a month, right? I mean, there's no very low barrier to entry. Do it during a stream at joinpacman.com. I will thank everybody. We have 2 people who already signed up. Our goal is 25. If we get to 50 tomorrow, I will do the stream with a man bun. I may be getting a haircut next week. So, we have limited time to make that a reality. And if you want to save 66% off of your membership, the coupon code is 2020 now. And I know we joke around about this stuff, but it really has been inspiring to see people who have stepped up and signed up. 722 members is a lot for us to lose in a relatively short period of time. And several hundred folks have signed up to make up for it. And we appreciate everybody. And we joke about, there's a lot of jokes. I don't care if you use a coupon code or not. I don't care if you pledge on Patreon instead. It all helps. It all goes to the same place. We've not done any hour reductions or layoffs. Everybody is working at the same levels as they were before the pandemic. And my goal is to keep it that way for a very, very long time, my friends. So the best way to make that a reality is with those website memberships. Chris V says, if Trump wants to reopen everything, will he also hold his huge rallies again? Absolutely. Trump is desperate to hold those rallies, and there is no doubt that he is going to be doing that for sure. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. A few other people I want to thank over on Twitch, B Prides and Fat Clemenza, as well as Chimpy Butts, love it, have all signed up with Twitch Prime, which is very, very exciting. Back over on YouTube, Dark Knight says, man bun all the way. Yeah, I don't know what the... I mean, it was kind of... Oh, no, this thing popped up behind me again. That is just the word. That thing keeps popping up. It's an update to an app. I'm going to have to clear that again momentarily. By the way, that means somebody hacked in and bad things are happening. No, I'm kidding. It's just there's the same app, the PDF related app that wants to update. Let me take care of that real quick. I don't want to show everybody my back, so I'm just going to brown out for a second. All right, there it is. Imagine if a picture of me popped up on the screen behind me. That would be incredibly embarrassing. Okay, back we are, my friends. Back we are. Yeah, anyway, so I don't know why people care about a man bun so much, but I could do it now, and I'm getting a haircut probably in about 10 days. So we have a limited opportunity during which that may become a reality. And then it's going to be it. I'm going to be shaving, haircut. It's over, my friends. It's over. I'm not keeping this going for too much longer. We are still standing by for Donald Trump in a propaganda reopening coronavirus restaurant executive event of some kind. Trump will just tell a bunch of lies during it, but then I am told that there will be questions from the media, and that is really mostly what we are here for. Okay. What else did I have to do here? I had a couple of other videos that I wanted to show people. Let me see if I can let me think of the right way to pull them up. I think probably going to Aaron Rupar's Twitter. A couple other videos I wanted to go over before things get started. Not the bar clips. Let me see where they were. Oh my God. By the way, what is this? Let me take a look at what this is. Shady's bar owner in Albany tells large crowd he can't open as he planned at noon. Lawyers advised him not to contest the Attorney General's demands.
The Attorney General has just called and they have shut us down. They brought it to the court. They granted them I don't know this law stuff. They granted them an order to close us down. Our attorney has advised us.
Oh my God. Okay, so a whole crowd without masks, desperate, I guess, to go to Shady's bar at noon today. They're not getting in. Where were these latest videos here? Oh, actually, this was it. So check this out. Here is Karl Rove attacking Obama for his commencement speech over the weekend. Like they have nothing, they can't defend Trump, so now they're attacking Obama for a virtual commencement. Check this out.
It is so unseemly for a former president to take the virtual commencement ceremony for a series of historically black colleges and universities and turn it into a political drive-by shooting. I mean, this is a moment where these young graduates could be inspired to a life of service, to recognize that life is going to bring challenges, and how we handle the challenges is going to demonstrate our character. There are lots of positive messages that the former president could have delivered, but the news that we have out of this speech, out of this appearance, is he says, quote, "The pandemic has finally fully torn back the curtain, that so many of the folks in charge know what they're doing, don't know what they're doing."
That is completely accurate. And the funny thing is, Karl Rove is acting like the only thing that went on during that virtual commencement speech over the weekend was that Obama attacked Trump. That was one line. Most of the speech was exactly what he's describing. It was a message of inspiration from Barack Obama that things are difficult, that we will get past this, that learning to deal with difficulty isn't like the speech was exactly what Karl Rove says it could have been. And it also said that we have now realized the lack of capacity that the current administration has for dealing with problems. It was what Karl Rove wanted. And yet he still has to go around and pretend like it was something else. These people have absolutely no shame. They're truly embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Okay, let's see here. JR says, while we're waiting, do you think you will be selling coffee again anytime soon? Am I wrong? Did you sell it to begin with? We did. So here's the reality. We were only selling about 50 bags of coffee a month. It just wasn't enough to justify the logistics of it. We needed to get labels. We had to print our coffee labels and have them sent to the coffee roaster. We had to then, manage customer service for the shipping component of it. The coffee roaster would then invoice me monthly. We were selling 50 bags a month. It wasn't worth it. So we closed the program about a year ago. And I don't imagine that we are going to go back to the coffee program. Danny Thompson says Albany, Minnesota, not New York. Oh, sorry. Albany, Minnesota. Start from the accents. I started wondering if it was New York. Alan N says, talk about Hitler's achievements. Be unbiased. What an idiotic super chat. I hope that was worth $2. Townsend Coke says, does your voice actor get a kick out of Hatriot Mail? Yes, he does. And actually, Hatriot Mail guy's wife loves Hatriot Mail. From what I'm told, she doesn't much care about all of his other professional voiceover work, but Hatriot Mail, she really loves, which is just hilarious. Let me say thank you to Joshua Gwynn. Joshua Gwynn has done something unbelievable, which is Joshua grabbed a membership on my website, joinpacman.com, and has gotten us to 3 new website members today. I invite you to consider getting a membership yourself at joinpacman.com. When you sign up, this blue box, for lack of a better term, starts filling up, and you alone can get this thing to fill up and overflow and explode off of the side of the screen. We're at 3 of 25. And of course, the coupon code 2020 now is widely available. Anybody can use it, and it makes a membership just $2 a month, which is a pretty damn good deal, I must say. Anthony Sanchez says, sell toilet paper. We're not really looking, the problem for us, we sell a bunch of different gear on our website and on YouTube. It's a lot of logistics for very low profit margins. Like focusing on memberships, which are far more scalable, makes a lot more sense. We sell, especially now with coronavirus delaying shipping times for so many things. Selling physical goods is just a nightmare. It really is. I don't know that it's what I would call our core competency, to use a little bit of business school related vocabulary. Thanks to Chris R for the super chat. Skillet Queso says, was that drive-by shooting comment a dog whistle? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Ben Taylor says, hey, David, been taking a break here. It has been nice to get away, but nice to see you and your amazing blue eyes. Oh, my God. By the way, I had an ex who called me gordita cute that your mom calls you Devisto. Holy shit. Half the time when Ben sends super chats, I don't know what he's talking about, but Ben's a big supporter and he's been around for a while. And I very, very much appreciate Ben's support, even when I don't know exactly what he's saying. Zachary, did you mean Karl Rove used the term drive-by shooting? I'm now realizing. Carl Rove said drive, and was that right? It was probably a dog whistle. Yes, that was probably a dog whistle by my best assessment. Okay, Zachary Foster says Dina Grayson deleted COVIDiot's tweet about Germany she made 2 weeks ago. Germany announces lowest positive rate since beginning of virus. I didn't see that tweet, and I've not interviewed Dina Grayson. I do follow her on Twitter, but I did not see that tweet. Let me say thank you to Lynn Wellings. Lynn is new member number 4 today at joinpacman.com, and Brad Priddle is new member number 5 today at joinpacman.com. The goal is 25, and if we get to 50, I will stream tomorrow with a man bun. It may be one of the last opportunities for it, as it looks like in Massachusetts, we are getting very, very close to haircuts being available. So limited opportunities remain. Let me say some thank yous over on Twitch to some really great people. Christy Mack has gifted a subscription. Stakhanov has subscribed and says Trump is watching TV again and can't be bothered to work. Adrian Lieb has subscribed with Prime. Ty Schneids has subscribed with Prime. Very, very exciting. I do appreciate that. Other super chats are coming in. AJ Brown seconds the toilet paper selling idea. We're not selling toilet paper, guys. I'm sorry. Sabrina Zafar says, thoughts on Baker's reopening phases for Massachusetts? Do you feel it's a bit early? Will you be getting a haircut next week? I don't know if I'm getting a haircut next week. I do have the guidelines here. I don't think it's too quick because right now, almost nothing is changing. So in the immediate, what's going on is manufacturing facilities and construction sites get to open with applicable guidelines, people not close together, mandatory masks. Places of worship concerns me because I worry they won't follow the guidelines, even though it says here you need social distancing and you've got to be, ideally you'll hold services outdoors. I think that it is good to start preventative care. The number of people in the hospital with coronavirus in the state is only a couple thousand in a state of 6.5 million. And the long-term effects of people skipping preventative care and starting to be diagnosed for conditions is problematic. So I think that that's good. And then next week, some of these other things are going to open. The numbers in Massachusetts are pretty good. We've had under 3% case growth rate every day for about 2 weeks. We've been under 2% case growth rate for most of the last week. We even had under 1% case growth rate. I don't think it's too early. And the other thing, Sabrina, I know a lot of people are going to go absolutely crazy on me for saying this, but I have a story coming up today about how states that have opened, some of the states that have opened, have the exact same trajectory as states that have been closed for 2 weeks. And I'm talking about places that, states that have been closed for 2 months. There are states that have been open 2 to 3 weeks, and the curve is almost identical to states that have been in lockdown. Now, is it because the lockdown states, people are ignoring the guidelines? That could be. Is it for some? I don't pretend to know the answer, but it seems on balance, these are pretty okay guidelines for the state of Massachusetts right now. Alfredo Gonzalez says, my comments are insta-deleted on your last video. Don't you think that if blacks commit more violent crime, they also have more police interactions? Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not deleting. We don't have time to go. We get 3,000 YouTube, actually 3,000 to 6,000 YouTube comments a day. We have a staff of 4. Okay. We don't have the time to go and individually delete comments. If your comments are being deleted, it's because other people are flagging them as spam. And I don't even look at YouTube comments. We don't manage that at the show. So I don't even know what you're talking about. Donna Williams says, thanks for doing these. My pleasure. Sean M says, didn't Trump give a hyper-political speech at the Boy Scouts a few years ago? Yes, he did. Chris R says, any thoughts about camping and national parks reopening? It mostly seems okay. The concern would be that a lot of those places have shared bathroom facilities, and that's where I would be concerned. People just out in the wilderness don't concern me. The contagion in out in public, in outdoors, is so low. But I do have a concern about the shared facilities, absolutely. Let me say thank you to Kevin Purnell. Kevin is new member number 6 today. And Heiko Albrecht is new member number 7 today at joinpacman.com. Thank you so much for everybody that's been signing up at joinpacman.com. As I've mentioned before, we got destroyed in the membership. From the standpoint of membership, we lost 722 elements of membership during March and April. That means people who canceled because of what's going on. So we like extra appreciate everybody who's been signing up lately, which is why I want to extra thank Heiko Albrecht and Kevin Purnell, as well as Brad Priddle, Lynn Wellings, Joshua Gwynn, Eli Gray, and Stephen Rathje, all of whom are today's 7 new members of the day. You can join them. Trust me, you can do it at joinpacman.com. Madeline Welsh sends a super chat. Ben Taylor says, I heard you say your mom calls you Davidito and thought it was cute because I had an ex from Colombia that called me gordita. Gordita. You're a guy, right, Ben? Gordita. You know what? I'm not even getting involved. I don't know. That it's a beautiful story. Thank you. Alex Kepke says, if you could go to dinner with your favorite president ever, where would you and Trump go? I guess I would go to a KFC or the place with the taco bowls inside Trump Tower. That seems to be Donald Trump's favorite food at this point in time. I don't know. Okay, I want to say thanks to Get Trump Out 2020 for gifting a community subscription on Twitch. Also, thank you to Emptakion for the support on Twitch as well. Thank you very, very much. Also, okay, people already asked about the chess tournament. I'm not ready to announce the next one yet, but I may have an announcement later this week. Also, thanks to Chimpy Butts for gifting a subscription on Twitch. Leica says via Super Chat, hi, David, can you consider doing a piece on how Trump and Republicans use DARVO as a gaslighting tactic? I've never heard that before. Is that an acronym? DARVO stands for, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Yes, that I call that gaslighting, actually. I don't even know that you need as complex of an acronym. I just call it gaslighting. Waffles Giraffles says, just stopping by for elements of standpoints. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very important. I see people once again asking about my watermelon video. Oh, you know what's, let me address something actually. Let's see if I can just easily pull this back up. So on my Instagram, david.pacman, I posted a time-lapse video yesterday of me slicing a watermelon. No matter what I post, it's actually one of the funniest things is seeing how people complain about everything. So the complaints I got during this included, David, number 1, that's not the right way to do it. You should cut the entire watermelon in half and then break down the subsequent pieces, so that this was the wrong way to cut it. Number 2, David, that was the wrong type of knife. You should be using a chef's knife or a cleaver in order to break that down. Number 3, David, your knife technique is inappropriate. You are holding the knife in the wrong way. Number 4, David, did you throw the rind away? You shouldn't do that. It's wasteful. You should keep the rind and pickle it, and it makes a fantastic snack. David, number 5, couldn't you have better planned ahead for the number of containers that you needed? It was obvious from the size of the watermelon that you weren't going to fit the entire watermelon in those 2 containers. You could have planned for something better all along. Like, don't people understand? Like, I know that this is a silly way to cut a watermelon. I understand that. I'm doing it as a goof. It's a video. This is the internet. So, sir, this is Twitter, is what I felt like saying. But no matter what you post, somebody is disgusted with what it is that you are doing. There's always a criticism. And I think that's why they call it the internet. That's what it is. But I was extremely pleased with the taste of this watermelon. Despite being an early season watermelon, it was absolutely tasty. No regrets. No regrets whatsoever. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Candido Moreno says, Viva la Raza. Okay. Name Withheld says, hey, David, can you ask Joe Rogan what % of the 90,000 dead was preventable if Trump would have acted sooner? I don't know why Joe Rogan would know that. He's not like an epidemiologist, right? I mean, it's like I could ask him, but I don't know why it matters what he thinks on that. Chris says Trumpists love when he calls people out and his anti-political correctness, but when Obama criticizes him, they care about proper presidential behavior suddenly. Oh, it's totally, it's an incredible double standard for sure. Cameron Jones says, can we take a step back and talk about the blacks? Yeah, can you imagine interjecting in a stream and saying, David, you're not talking enough about the bad things that you could be saying about black people. Like, what is wrong with people, honestly? Nasty Question says, when you go live, my BFF and I text each other, Deepak alert. Thanks for your elements of analysis. I think your knife technique is on point, by the way. You know, the one thing that could have been said is, I think that there are points during this video where no, I'm not even doing it. You're not supposed to put your index finger on top of the blade, but I don't think I'm actually doing that in this video. Yeah, I think my knife, and for the most part, I'm also cutting away. There is one point where I cut towards me, which is a little dangerous. Let me see where it was. Right, hold on, it's coming up. Right there. I did that little slice towards me, and I think that's the fair criticism. That probably was not the exact safest way to do that. But I think overall I exhibited pretty, this was a joke, by the way, when I 3 times went up like I was going to smash the thing. I think that I exhibited pretty safe knife technique there. Nothing to worry about, nothing to write home about, certainly, but not a big deal. Okay, let me say thank you to Lee Ventura. Lee Ventura is new member number 8 today at joinpacman.com. Beth Lewis. Hey, Beth. Beth is new member number 9 today. Kim Matthew is new member number 10 today. Very much appreciate that. And you can get your name announced by grabbing a membership at 2020 now. Thank you. Very exciting. Eileen Ardward says, rolling on the floor laughing. All right. Mart Fillion says, I just wanted to clarify the comment I made a couple of days ago. Okay, Mart, I have no recollection of that. Of course, this is a grim situation, but I feel that focusing on the people that recovered would allow for a silver lighting. All right, fair. Theo Love says, turn on, tune in, drop out. Right. Tiffany Nicole says, the fact that you're left-handed excuses it all. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. I was using a right-handed knife here with my left hand because I'm useless with my right hand. So that's another thing to consider. It was a right-handed knife, and I was doing the best I could to account for that and using it lefty. And I think that that's important to consider. By the way, that's a joke. That's a joke. Okay. Tiffany Nicole says, oh, wait, no, I just read that. Ollie P, it's the destination that counts, not the journey, as far as the watermelon is concerned. I agree. Townsend Cock says, it's cock, not Coke, LOL. All right, Townsend Cock. Very good. I apologize for mispronouncing your way in a not vulgar way. My apology. Karen Paulangelo is new member number 11 today at joinpacman.com. Thank you, Karen. I so appreciate that very, very much. Really appreciate your support. If you are just joining us, we are 45 minutes past the scheduled start of today's propaganda roundtable with restaurant executives and industry leaders. We don't yet know when this is actually going to start. If we look at Trump's Twitter, we still have no tweet updating us about the start time, so we'll just hang and chat with people. I want to say thanks to Half Vamp for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Spooby has subscribed for 3 months at Tier 1, which I very much appreciate. JR says, like Trump, why shouldn't you go into business with a watermelon? They're seedy. Okay, that's a dad joke. Janelle Staff says, David, why does it seem like Trump is so obsessed with Obama? It's getting kind of creepy. Oh, yeah. Trump realizes that Obama is 10 times the man Trump could ever be. And it makes him extraordinarily insecure. And that's why he's gone out of his way to either undo as much of Obama's work as he can, and the stuff he can't undo or the stuff that he likes, he takes credit for. Like the, what was it called? Is it the Heroes Act or the Veterans Choice was something Obama did. Trump did like some minor extension and he takes credit for it. It's whacked. It's absolutely and totally whacked. Okay, Justin D says, how will Trumpists defend the new Saudi debacle? Do you mean the oil or what? Maybe I haven't heard of whatever it is you're referring to yet. I need a little elaboration there. Adam Bennett says, watching from the UK, thanks for a great commentary. Greetings to everybody in the UK. I was in London and Oxford just a few months ago. Feels like years ago at this point in time, given everything that's gone down. But I was just recently there and love it. Love it. London is just a tremendous city, and hope to get back there soon. Who knows when it'll be safe. Let me say thank you to Rhapsodies en Gras, who has subscribed for 7 months with Twitch Prime and says, David, have you ever tried to get George Lakoff on the show to talk about how Trump is using wartime language to talk about the pandemic and the implications that has? George Lakoff has been on my program once or maybe even twice. It's been a little while, and we have not had him on recently, but it's a good idea. I like that idea, and we should absolutely see whether we can make that a reality. It would be absolutely great to do that. Okay, if you were just joining us, let me refresh our coronavirus numbers. We are at 4.8 million confirmed cases globally and 318,000 deaths. 3 of the biggest, if we look at yesterday by new cases, Russia, Brazil, and India, as I've been saying for about 10 days now, are rapidly becoming the epicenters. When you look at their curves, it is very, very ugly. Here's Russia, not good. Here is their death toll, not good. Here is Brazil. Notice something in common between Brazil and Russia and the United States. Brazil, not a good curve. Sundays, very often there is less reporting, so we will see what the deal is with that. The death numbers spiking in Brazil as well. And then India now at 100,000 cases, still a fraction of where we are. That is not the type of curve that you want to see. And then also when it comes to deaths, things not looking good in India. So, for about 10 days, I've been looking at the percentage case growth in Russia, Brazil, and India. And today, shockingly, we don't have all the numbers yet, but Russia has almost as many new cases as we do today. We'll see what it looks like by the end of the day. But that is, Russia's having a real problem. India's having a real problem. Same with Brazil. How is UK? I think UK is actually doing all right. Yeah, okay. So, they've plateaued and we're seeing a slow decline. The death numbers declining far more rapidly in the UK. And that's good to be seeing as well. Let's see. Is this live? Here it is.
That's been tremendously impacted by what's happening with COVID. And it's an industry that we're working very hard with and on. We're looking at doing deductibility so that a corporation can use a restaurant or entertainment clubs, et cetera, and get deductibility. I think that'll really have a big impact. Steve can maybe talk about it, Steve Mnuchin.
It's happening.
But I'd like to have some of these leaders talk about, real quickly, about their company and the industry and any ideas they have. And I think we can do it in front of the media for a little while, and then we can answer a couple of questions, and we're going to get back to business, okay? Please.
Well, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary Scalia, and everyone else here, including my brethren from the restaurant industry, thanks so much for having us here. It's an honor for me to be here representing 10,000 restaurants in the U.S. We have Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim Hortons. These restaurants are owned by small businesses. It's
funny, when I think of restaurants, those aren't the places I think of. Those seem more like kind of food factory type places.
The restaurants, day in and day out, we've been in the restaurants working as an essential service since the beginning of the crisis in March. We have had our drive-thrus open and delivery open, but we've still had a tremendous impact on our business, and so we're really looking forward to the process of reopening the economy, reopening the country. We already have about 1,000 locations around the country that have started to open the dining rooms with reduced capacity. We've added PPE, we've added safe and social distancing in the restaurants to ensure that people can come in. We have acrylic screens in the front counter. We have masks and gloves for the employees to ensure that everyone feels safe, our guests and our team members. I just wanted to thank the President, Mr. President, and your administration. I think you've acted.
I'm curious what you guys think. I mean, I haven't been to any of these places in 20 years. I think the last time I went to a Burger King, I was 15. But it doesn't seem like now is the time where I would start going back to them.
Businesses, I mean, I think there's a lot we think that can do to
also,
make
by the way, calling Burger King's like area with tables a dining room, I just also find really funny.
Adding here is this idea of extending the 8-week deadline. We think that 8-week deadline, when it was implemented, was probably 8 weeks probably seemed like an eternity, but today we're in the 10th week of the pandemic, and I think it's going to take some time for our restaurants and our owners to get back to the capacity levels and the traffic levels that we were seeing pre-COVID. And so a little more time, we think probably taking it to 24 weeks would be appropriate to allow
even this guy says we need
restaurant
more time.
Owners that are participating in the program to be able to manage through and rehire the employees, which is what the purpose of PPP was intended for. There was two other things that I think are important for us. One is we think business liability protection for small businesses is important. We're going to see potentially with the reopening of the economy, with the reopening of small restaurants, we're going to see frivolous, I think, and unfounded lawsuits against restaurant owners, against small businesses that are trying to do the right thing, trying to survive and trying to keep their businesses going. So we firmly believe that protection from these types of frivolous lawsuits would be helpful. And then
it's really Burger King that wants that protection. I don't know that the local mom and pop is actually at huge risk of that. And that's actually scary that they're going to use this to just give blanket lawsuit protection to huge corporations like Burger King.
Of the PPP, and we think there should be additional funds available for us to be able to weather and continue to weather the storm. But we're really proud to be here, proud to be part of this extraordinary group of restaurant leaders, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you. That's a lot, 10,000 restaurants, and that's some big group and good group too. I know your chains, and I know a lot about your company. It's a great company, so you'll be back very soon. I have no doubt about it. And some of the things you mentioned we'll be talking about. I do want to say before we go further, so this was a very big day therapeutically, cure-wise and vaccine-wise. Tremendous progress has been made,
today,
as I've been saying for 2 weeks, because I've been seeing what's going on and
today
think spearheading it largely. And this was a very, very, some big announcements are coming and have just come out, and the market's up almost 1,000 points. You'll check your market. I'm sure you did before you walked in the room, but I imagine your company's doing better today than it was a week ago, right?
We're focused on the profitability of our franchisees. That's my focus.
Okay, good. So what we have is big announcements coming. Big announcements have already come, and tremendous progress has been made therapeutically, cure-wise, and also, obviously, vaccine. To me, therapeutically and cure is more important than vaccine because it's immediate. And if we have something, even people that are very sick right now, we try and expedite everything so it goes really quickly, really, really quickly, like let's get it going immediately. So if you have somebody that's not going to make it, if you have somebody that's going to pass away, going to die, and if we have something that we think works, we want to get them immediately into those hospitals or wherever the people are located. So that's being talked about also with the FDA, with Dr. Stephen Hahn, who's doing a fantastic job. And so we're trying to expedite things. But very importantly, just overall, what big news it is medically. We are so far ahead of...
Can he list the accomplishments today?
From a logistical standpoint. And that's the other thing. We're also gearing up and close to geared up because we have tremendous people in the military, so they'll be able to deliver service very rapidly. So a lot of good things are happening, and let's see what happens in the very near future.
He says it's a big day therapeutically. Vaccine. What happened today? Like what happened?
Being here, we appreciate how many people you employ as an industry and the special issues that we have, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Good, thank you very much. How are you doing on deductibility, Steve? How's that going? Good? Good.
We're doing great.
Thank you, Mr. President. Really appreciate you gathering us here today. This is a great representation of restaurants from across the country. Jose with his 10,000, my 2 on Bourbon Street. I am the president and CEO of Galatoire's. We've been there since 1905.
Yeah, right.
And, restaurants are the cornerstone of so many communities. Where some big business is absent, restaurants are there. And we employ so many people. We just appreciate how swiftly y'all have acted to bring relief our way. We think with just a few small changes in cover period and length of the cover period on the forgiveness of PPP, we have a real great opportunity. And, just the very nature of restaurants in general, we rely on social interaction. So it makes us really unique that we were hit hard quickly, and it's going to make our comeback really difficult. That being said, I'm glad to hear your news that there's.
Well, my news negates what you just said, because you would be back into business like you had it.
Yeah.
No seats lost, et cetera.
What?
Et cetera. So we'll see what happens, but it certainly negates it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the interim, we appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you.
What just happened there?
Longer cure periods on the test periods on the loans would be incredible. A city like New Orleans, we have 1,500 restaurants, but only 400,000 people. And so when you look at that, how do we survive? We survive with leisure and business travelers. 19 million visitors last year. And that being said, it's going to take us a little time to ramp back up.
I guess Trump doesn't agree.
So we're looking forward to that period of time, and we believe that you guys have the opportunity to help us. We greatly appreciate it. We've survived Hurricane Katrina. We've survived the BP oil spill.
Yeah.
Restaurateurs are a resilient group, very tenacious, and so we're there, and we appreciate your help.
So your area was amazing because it was hit hard, but it was very late. We didn't think it was going to be hit at all, and then all of a sudden it spiked up after you had a certain event, and who knows what caused it, but maybe it was that.
Yeah.
And then it's doing incredibly well right now. It's really down at a low
Yeah,
number.
we've made great progress. The governor's done a really good job. That being said,
that true?
25% capacity is tough. To literally think that this week when we reopen at 25%, we'll lose more money than last week because now we're incurring expenses.
You got to get 100%, okay?
Yes,
You got
sir.
to get up, and I hope it's going to be up very fast. I hope the governor does that pretty quickly. Let's see how it goes.
So there's actually
a
some
lot has to do
disagreement
with
here.
what I said in my opening remarks.
Very interesting.
Ivanka, do you have anything to say? I know you like this industry.
God, no.
Well, I've spoken with many of the people around this table over the course of the past several weeks and before.
They all said the same thing. Why are you here, and why are we talking to you?
Program has given restaurants alone, that industry alone, over $30 billion of relief, representing 250,000 restaurants nationwide. And that's just where we are today. So the feedback has been tremendously helpful. The secretary's made some changes in the guidance and to, of course, informing new policy as we come out of this. But we really appreciate your being here, and we thank you for the feedback.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you, honey.
Hi, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary, all of you, thank you for having us. My name is Will Guidera of 11 Madison Park in New York City, but I'm also a founding member of the Independent Restaurant Coalition. We started just 7 weeks ago.
I think I've seen this guy in a documentary about that restaurant.
Together to represent the 500,000 independent restaurants across America. I'm talking about the mom and pops, your local diner, the pizza place, the pasta joint, and the 3 Michelin star restaurant, and honestly, everything in between. The things that represent the cultural fabric of our cities and of our towns, and the things that I believe, as a country, we need to fight to keep. We also represent the 11 million people that work in those independent restaurants across the country. Listen, it's clear that this administration cares about our industry. And it's also clear that all of you understand the extent to which we are more specifically vulnerable than a lot of other industries in America. And I think that's why we're here today. And so I think it's just important to take a moment and acknowledge that and say thank you that we're taking this time.
Thank you, Will, very much.
Thanks, Will. Love it.
PPP is important, and the changes that have already been talked about and are going to continue being talked about today are very important. And if those changes are made such that people feel confidence that they can spend that money and have it forgiven, I think that will be the thing that allows our restaurants to reopen.
Right.
That said, we need something more than that that is specific to independent restaurants in order for our restaurants to stay open. Everyone here knows that last month alone, I think in the first half of April, more than 1 out of 4 people that applied for unemployment were restaurant workers. 1 out of 4, it's just insane. And so we've put forward a plan to members of Congress and to this administration that we put forward because it'll put all of those people that are currently unemployed back to work.
Right.
Such that by the third quarter of this year, we're going to be looking at unemployment reports
Trump's
that
gonna
are
negate this
astonishingly good. Not to mention the supply chain that we represent. If restaurants go down, the commercial real estate industry, the farming industry. And so our plan helps bring unemployment back to where it needs to be, and it supports a lot of our other industries that rely on independent restaurants for their survival. And so we appreciate being here. We'd love the opportunity to talk more about this. I know that in times like this, a lot of people have their hands out. I don't take that lightly. I do believe that independent restaurants are more vulnerable than most.
This guy's talking too much
and a really
for Trump.
important part of this nation, and I don't want to lose them. And so we appreciate your consideration and your support.
Okay, thank you very much, Will. Appreciate it. Larry, please.
Is this Kudlow?
48 states are opening. That's a big plus. And the vaccination research news was great today. So we see it in the stock market. I want to thank everybody for being here. We are working hard. Steve mentioned the tax deductions for restaurants. We're also working very hard on the COVID-19 liability restrictions. That's going to be a key part of our next package. And I just want to say, I guess I'm usually the optimist, but we're in a terrible pandemic contraction here in the second quarter. We know that. And there's a lot of hardship and a lot of heartbreak. But there's also a few glimmers of hope, of recovery, because I know you, sir, believe in the second half recovery, and I do too, and I think with the right policies we can have a booming next year. But the signs are housing demand looks better, gasoline demand looks better, the Apple Mobility Index looks better. That's, people dialing up to see where to get from A to B. New York State's Empire State, the manufacturing index was up enormously. I don't know where that came from, but it was. Unemployment claims each week look terrible, but they're a lot less terrible, from 7 million to 3 million. So there are some glimmers of hope. Kevin has some data on better credit card numbers. So it's a tough haul, but I think things are starting to turn. That's my take. Wish everybody luck.
I think so, Larry. Maybe much more than people understand, and you're starting to see that. Going to come back strong. Please.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Scalia, Secretary, I want to thank you for having us here today. I have restaurants across the United States. We average 27 employees per restaurant. These are the small businesses across in each of these communities that those 27 people have families, have mortgages, have rents, have car payments to make every day. And being able to stay open and work with the governors and get the PPP money, and to be able to give people reassurances that tomorrow is going to be better than it was today, and to give them that hope has been really important for us, our business, and those families. And I want to thank you for your leadership and your team's leadership in doing so. One of the things we talk about in the business is how well we talk about treating others and bringing people into the family and bring them into the restaurant like you bring them into your home. And that's what we do in the restaurant business every day. We treat everyone like family. And doing so and having the leadership here has been really helpful to us and the entire industry. And frankly, 8 weeks, 9 weeks ago, I was thinking about this Chinese nightmare, and I didn't want it to affect the American dream that we all had. And I'm a success story about the American dream, going from $3.45 an hour starting at the front counter in a fast food restaurant to what we have today. And I couldn't be prouder.
How many restaurants?
I own and operate 765 restaurants across the United States now.
That's fantastic.
Small business owner.
Wow.
And I couldn't be, it's an American dream, sir. And I appreciate everything everyone's doing here to keep that dream going. And tomorrow is going to be better than today, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
If we get deductibility, you'll do better than you did 2 months ago.
Thank you, sir.
That's my opinion.
Yes, Mr. President.
Please, go ahead, Kevin. Let us know what's going to happen.
Yeah, sir, first of all, you might recall when we first started talking about the economic damage that was coming from the shutdown, that we emphasized right from the beginning that this industry and the travel industry were going to be the hardest hit. And so we've been focused like a laser beam on coming up with policy ideas to do something about it. And as you said, we've got a really good plan. The thing I could say is that if you look at the real-time data, as Larry said, that you really are starting to see glimmers of hope. And maybe even like you could even characterize it a little more optimistically than that. Larry's being super cautious, but the credit card data are really going up. The number of businesses open in the country is skyrocketing. I mean, the country's getting back now, and I think that there's a great reason
Look
for
at the smirk
optimism
on
for
this
this
guy's
group,
face.
because you can really see things going much, much faster forward than I expected. I know I was pretty depressed about how bad it looked and how slow it was going to be a few weeks ago, but now you can really see it turning on faster than I thought.
There's a tremendous demand, tremendous pent-up demand. It's true. Don't forget, we turned it off artificially. It was just stopped. We went from the greatest economy in history of any country to we have to stop. And we saved, by doing that, millions of lives. We saved hundreds of thousands, but probably millions of lives. And we did the right thing, and now we have to open, and now we're going to do great. And if this comes along, what we're hearing medically from these great companies, these great geniuses, if this happens, that's really going to be something. So, great job, thank you. Please.
Oh, God.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Scalia, Secretary Mnuchin, it's an honor to be here today. My name is Marvin Irby, and on behalf of the National Restaurant Association, thank you for convening this meeting of these industry leaders on this very important subject. To be honest with you, normally at this time, I'd spend a lot of time telling you about this industry. But what's been clear over the last several months is that you get it. This administration gets it. You know everything about our world-famous chefs,
dear God,
our esteemed independents, our beloved brands that dot every community in this country. And I'm proud to say that for over 100 years, the National Restaurant Association has represented all restaurants that play a key role in our society and an integral role in our food chain. I have the opportunity that I get to speak to restaurateurs every single day. And I can confirm we desperately want to reopen. Our restaurants are desperate and are heartbroken, and at this time, we can't provide the support and the comfort to the communities in which we serve.
Right.
For too many restaurants right now, an incident happened 60 days ago that has crippled us, and before today's news, we did not see an end date until later this year. Programs like the Paycheck Protection Program are an incredible first step. And thank you, Secretary Mnuchin, for this program, which has benefited millions of small companies throughout this country. We also appreciate Ivanka Trump's dedication to our industry, and I personally want to thank you for the time you've taken to talk to our board over the last months of this crisis.
God.
Mr. President, the Payroll Protection Program would be a godsend if we could make one change, if we could extend the time that we have to spend the proceeds. In too many communities today, the 8-week period is simply not enough time.
So how much time are you on?
24 weeks.
How about 30 weeks?
30 weeks works. 30 weeks works.
How about 75 weeks? I know a couple of you. You'll never stop, right?
Uh-oh.
I know a couple of
This is
guys
how Trump
in this-
negotiates.
No, I understand. So you think it needs to be, what would you say would be a minimum length?
24 weeks.
How much?
24 weeks. You need to give our smaller restaurateurs the opportunities to open, to begin to have demand, and bring back the employees.
Is that, what were you going to say in terms of timing?
Yeah, I think for the PPP fixes, if we could take it from 8 weeks to 24 weeks.
Is that the term?
Yeah.
More or less the term you're thinking about?
And then move June 30th to October 31st. If those two changes were made to that program, it would change it dramatically.
What's more important, that or
in real time?
deductibility?
That.
Yes.
Really?
Deductibility is amazing, but it's almost like we need to build the house first. Deductibility is the thing that makes the house.
Does anybody disagree with that? Because I think deductibility is the biggest thing you can possibly do.
Mr.
Does
President,
anybody?
I think that if what he's saying is, if we could get the 24 weeks, which gets us to October 31st, basically, right?
This is great.
This allows us to get the young restaurateurs going and spend the money that you intended for them so that we can get out and show them what a great job you guys are doing.
But you're pretty unified on the number 24, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
24.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, please.
And the
Finish.
best thing about it, it's no additional money. It's an extension of the current program.
Okay.
So,
The deductibility thing is great.
Can I just
I just
ask-
don't want to not support that. I think it's just a matter of waiting. We need to get the restaurants open first, and these changes allow us to get
It's
them
absolutely clear that that's true.
I just wanted to clarify because you said it's no additional money. Are you saying just the time period goes, it's 8 weeks going to 24? You still have 8 weeks of money, or you want 24 weeks of money?
oh no, we want 24 weeks in order to spend.
To spend the 8 weeks?
Correct.
Got it. Thank
Right,
you for the
correct.
clarification.
We believe that if we elongate
Is
that
that
test-
correct? Does everybody agree with that?
Yes, sir. If we can elongate the test period, it gives us more staying power, and we can spend that money and
This is
really get
interesting.
where we
Trump's
need to be.
obsessed with the deductibility thing, which I can explain to you guys later. Everybody else is like, we just want more time to spend this money. Because remember, the whole issue is there's a certain point at which you have to start paying. It's no longer forgivable, and you start paying interest on it, and that's what they're talking about here.
Payroll tax.
I would say deductibility, payroll tax deductions, all those things are spectacular, and we need them, and they would be greatly beneficial.
But-
We're viewing the PPP fix as what we need to
So the
get out of
PPP
the
was
rut.
really a big deal.
Yes, sir.
So we hit it right. When we did it, we hit it right. Okay, thank you
Correct.
very much. Thank you.
Such a big deal. Am I doing wrong? It was such a big deal, sir, that we haven't laid off a single person, and there's 20,000 people that are paying their taxes, they're paying their bills, and they're doing all that every day. And without that, I don't think we would have been able to do that, sir. That's how big a deal it is.
Great.
Wow. I do see folks signing up, by the way. I will mention everybody after this.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here, and I deeply appreciate the opportunity. My name is Narain. I represent Panera Bread. Panera has 2,500 cafes.
There's another beauty.
Revenues of about $6 billion, and we employ 140,000 people. The pandemic impacted us very deeply, as it did everybody else. We lost close to 50% of our revenue in the first week. Since then, it is slowly coming back, but we still have a long way to go. Now, the
So
health crisis...
You got down by 50% or
Yeah.
more than that?
50 to 60% was the revenue decline.
That's not bad.
And I think what's good is that it's actually coming back since that time.
Good.
Thanks to a lot of the innovation that we've been able to do.
Good. But, so you got maximum, though, 50% of revenue loss?
Yeah.
How'd you keep the other 50%?
So the 50% that we have by ensuring, so fortunately, I think in Panera, we have very strong omni-channel business.
Right.
So we have delivery, rapid pickup, drive-through.
You did very well.
And so on.
That's
Yeah.
great. Great job. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we've had to innovate very quickly, and I'll share some of those ideas.
This is too
So I believe that the health crisis is now
not
becoming a
bad.
financial crisis, with 36 million Americans unemployed, and a humanitarian crisis as well, with about 54 million Americans fighting hunger. And therefore, I think opening up the economy right now in a phased manner is the right thing to do. I also believe that we as leaders need to also step up and do the right thing at this time, and do what we can do, what's in our control. And I'll share some ideas and thoughts in terms of what Panera has been doing, largely with the intent to innovate and do that with compassion and heart. So for our furloughed employees, we have free family meals every week for them, emergency relief funds, and also we've made arrangements with peer companies that are actually hiring at this time, like CVS, Walmart, to hire our furloughed employees temporarily and then return them back. For customers, we've innovated very quickly. We've launched the curbside pickup service with geofencing and also free Wi-Fi outside the cafes because life is moving to outside the cafes. And also doing a lot for our communities, especially those impacted most by the pandemic. So doctors and nurses, we are serving about 50,000 meals to doctors and nurses in New York, children in the state of Ohio with our partnership with the USDA. And also we've launched a program called Together Without Hunger with Feeding America and have pledged to serve 500,000 meals to children and families through Feeding America.
Great.
So I think it's very important at this time that I think we need to also step up and contribute. We were able to keep 85% of our cafes open. We were determined to keep them open so that we could keep our associates employed at that time, and therefore now we're beginning to open up the dining areas in phases, following all the guidelines, but also have stringent protocols that we've put in place, like plexiglass barriers, wellness stations for temperature checks, social distancing norms, etc.
Will you be keeping any of that? I mean, there are some innovations that have been made. Some people say maybe we'll keep it. Would you be keeping any of that or not really?
Yes, I think there's going to be a shift in how the consumers are going to interact with brands. And I think it is time for us to innovate. So another example is...
Would you ever keep the plexiglass barriers?
So I think we'll keep the plexiglass barriers.
I mean, on a permanent basis, I'm talking about.
I think at least over the next 6 to 9 months.
Right, but could you see that being permanent? Because hopefully you're not going to have it that long, by the way, 9 months. But would you see a thing like that? You'd have to build a nicer version of it, as opposed to quickly throwing it up. But would you see something like that being permanent, possibly?
I think hopefully if the virus is under control and we've gotten to the other side of it, I think then we can get back to life as we once knew.
You'd rather not have it?
We'd rather move back to life as we once knew it, right? Rather not have
I
it.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
Okay.
And another, I think, interesting innovation is that recognizing that there's so much high friction with high demand grocery items where you can't get them home delivered, we launched a new line of business called Panera Grocery in 10 days. And we deliver
Trump's not liking this.
Items, fresh produce, dairy to customers in less than an hour on the same day. So I think the good thing is it's forced us to really innovate and be very responsive.
Good.
I think the restaurant industry is deeply, deeply appreciative of all the support and the efforts that you and the administration have made. I think the CARES Act has been huge.
It is a bit much, by the way, when a lot of people are taking, 15 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes for this guy to go on like this. It's a little bit out of place.
I think with a few of the amendments that we talked about, I'd fully agree with the 8 weeks to 24 weeks. I think that is badly needed. I think that will be hugely welcomed.
Steve, does that make sense from our standpoint? What do you think?
We're working on a technical fix that we do have bipartisan support for to extend it. I'm not sure it's that long, but I've spoken to the SBA committee and there is bipartisan support, so we're working on that.
And I think we talked about the limited liability. I think that's also a very important aspect. And thirdly,
the Democrats don't want to give you the liability provision. They just don't want to have that. Yeah. And it's crazy that they don't. But the Democrats do not want to give that to people, and that's not a good thing.
And I think the third thing
is...
We'll
get it anyway. Go ahead.
Our employees are, I think if we can eliminate the friction in the furloughed employees being able to access their unemployment benefits, that'll also be fantastic. And
that the problem there is the states have old equipment in many cases, and they're unable to get the money. We gave the money out immediately, but the states are unable. Some states are unable to give it out. They have 40-year-old equipment, and some states are unable to get their act together. But we gave that out long ago, as you probably know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Brooke, would you like to say a few words?
Mr. President, thank you. Just a few words. I am so grateful for all of you being here today. I am struck by the stories of true American dreams. I mean, starting at $3.45 an hour and then ultimately owning so many restaurants and hundreds of thousands, but I'm also hundreds of thousands of employees. But I'm also struck
Owning hundreds of
by
thousands
this
of
president
employees.
and vice
Wow.
president's commitment to our most vulnerable populations and their American dream, working in all of your restaurants. This president is the jobs president. I think that none of us, other than maybe
It's true. Nobody's lost more jobs than Trump.
economy that we would achieve in just 3 short years, where there were more people, more jobs available than people to fill them. And what I am so encouraged by is the resoluteness and the conviction of this president, this vice president, but truly the American entrepreneurs that are sitting around the table today and working alongside all of you as we bring this country back to even greater heights than we ever knew possible. The transition to greatness is really what America and the American dream is all about. So thank you all for being here. Know that we are here to help you always, and we are here to make sure that what this president led on and has achieved will be once again very, very soon. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Brooke. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and Secretaries for having me here today. My name's Tim Love. I'm a chef and owner of a few restaurants in Texas and Tennessee. I also am the chef of 4 major music festivals and food festivals around the country. So I've been greatly affected by obviously what's happened here, along with everybody else in this room. But what I wanted to speak to you about today is that to touch on the PPP and to kind of clarify what we were saying is the 24 weeks is only set up because certain restaurants aren't able to open now. In Texas, we were able to open on May 1st, and I quickly activated the PPP and tried to get all my employees back. I've hired 80% of my workforce. I started with 490 employees. We've got about 400 employees already back. And I will say it's encouraging to see people come out. They're excited. They want to be out.
What would have happened if you didn't have PPP?
Well, if I didn't
Would
have
you have
PPP,
survived it? Would you have gotten by?
I probably would have gotten by, but this allows us to do it the way that we feel like it should be, to take care of the employees first. We want to take care of our employees and make sure they're safe. Same activation we're having when opening the restaurants. We want to open the restaurants safely, make sure our employees are safe first, so our guests can be safe. I'd ask from the administration to put out that confidence, to get the American people understanding that it is great to go out and that our economy is going to be great again, because we know where it was before it started. We know how to get there, clearly. So now, just with a couple of adjustments to things that are already written, to the Secretary's point, we don't need we're not asking for more money. We're just asking an opportunity to spend it the way that you want us to spend it, the way it was intended, to take care of our employees when we're able to open up. That's it.
That should be easy, Steve, honestly.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I think you can take care of that for sure.
We're working on it, Mr.
That should be
President.
easy.
Yes, Mr. President. Yes.
And
That's like one of the easiest requests I've ever heard, Larry.
That's right. But that leads me to my next request. The 75-25, the way that it's spent, I know is tough, but I'm speaking for my friends who are in New York, not necessarily for myself, even in Texas, where the rents are higher, and they need the ability to spend the money on rent if necessary, so long as they're hiring their employees back. So while the number one thing is to get the workforce back, reduce unemployment, get people back to work, which is what I'm doing at 25%. Believe me, I'm not going and building new houses on my 25% of occupancy. But what I am doing is putting the great American people back to work that I love.
Does Trump even know
And the way
what
we get the economy
75-25
going is getting
he's
the
talking
workers
about?
back to work so they're able to spend money and earn money. So therefore, we can keep the economy moving. And so those two adjustments to the PPP, which don't require any extra money from the administration, from Congress, allows us to really move the economy forward, which I know is one of your number one things, especially as we're moving along this year. And I think you can get a lot of people in our industry, the workers, the people work very, very hard to get behind you, just to show that kind of confidence.
I think you will. How many restaurants are there total, everything, in the United States? How many are there?
Yeah.
How much? 650,000 restaurants. Who would think that's 11% of the overall? 650,000 restaurants. Who would ever think that's possible even, right?
All right.
That's good. And it's been a great business over the years, and it'll be
And
better
there'll be
than ever.
650,000 again, so long as you
That's
keep doing what you're
fantastic.
doing. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
no, I think deductibility gets that. Actually, I think
I would agree with that.
You'll go very substantially. They got rid of a lot of restaurants when they ended that. People don't realize it. Then you get used to it. You had fewer restaurants. They rented to other things. Now I don't know what they're going to rent to.
And to your
frankly.
point about that, sir, the deductibility, which you can easily identify with, and it does spread wealth amongst the restaurants, most definitely. We're talking just about an immediate concern with the PPP to get people moving forward so that we can get this
agree.
deductibility going.
No, I agree. We'll look at that very strongly.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. President, and it sees how important it is to all of y'all, this subject, because I haven't seen this much firepower from all of y'all except at a state dinner or a Christmas party. So I appreciate, Mr.
What on earth?
President, that all of you guys are here because I know you're really trying to get something done. I own a company, Landry's, which is in 40 states and is all full-service restaurants. So I average like 150 employees per restaurant. And it's everything from Del Frisco's to Mastro's to Martin's, the Palm, but then it's on the other side, the Bubba Gump's, the Rainforest.
This guy's something
and they're
else.
all company owned. It's been devastating. And
Rainforest.
it's funny you brought up about China. I should have realized it was going to be a bad year for China when my general manager tweeted out, freedom for Hong Kong. So that started my
And
year
you kept
with
it
China.
quiet, right? You
And
kept
now
that quiet.
So I'm still trying to work that out.
What is happening?
And here comes something
He
else.
owns the Houston Rockets, in case you don't know. And he's and by the way, he's a great guy, great family, great everything. And yeah, he did cause you a little ruckus. Whatever happened to him, by the way? Is he still working for you?
Yes, he is.
He must be pretty good.
Yes, because it's just it's a trick question, but he is. But Mr. President, everybody's talking about the PPP, and when your team designed the PPP and said let's bring it through the SBA, I think it was an unbelievable idea, and you did exactly what you needed to do. But I'm one of those people when it started being pitted against, because I'm a sole proprietor, but I do $4 billion in revenue, and I would have been that billionaire that took the money from the little business. So I was not able to take the PPP money, and I caught so much criticism because I was the first person who did lay off 40,000 employees, because the world doesn't understand that when you shut everything down from your casinos, which you and I did a
what
few
is this guy
deals
talking
together,
about?
from the Rainforest to
What
the Trump
on
Marina. Your tail of your payroll was $150 million the next 2 weeks, and we all pay yesterday's bills with today's income. And I wanted to put 40,000 people back to work May the 1st.
I feel really bad for this guy, guys. I mean, it's just terrible, the situation this guy's in.
The criticism, and even from the administration, there was some that bigger companies shouldn't be.
By the way, what is a Rainforest Cafe?
I don't have the ability to put those 40,000 people back to work.
Is he simultaneously saying that as a rich dude, he shouldn't get the money, but also that Trump should have helped him figure out how to keep the 40,000? Like, what is his argument?
Own restaurants, and you have it yourself in the company.
Yeah, that it would have been one person taking this money,
So
but your team specifically wrote the bill for any restaurant under 500. This was for the restaurant business, which has only got 9% of the money. But if you would just split it up, and I'm not saying add any more money, but add a category for the larger private restaurateur that could go out and take this money and put it in a different bucket, so it wouldn't be me taking this money away from the little beauty salon.
So what happened to you then, Tillman? So where are you on that whole thing? How did you do with the PPP? How did it work out for your company?
I took the money and sent it back and did not spend a dollar of it because
they found out you're very rich and they said, what the hell?
You know what? But I also was the first person that opened the leveraged finance market and went and borrowed $300 million at 12%, where just 3 months earlier borrowed at 3% because I needed the liquidity
out of the room.
Keep the company afloat.
So what did you do? You went out very early, right, for the money, and you found the market it was opened even at that early day.
Yes, I borrowed $300 million to add to liquidity, but it wasn't enough to
$300 million that he was able to borrow on credit was not enough, guys.
With the PPP.
What do you do with your basketball players that are making $25 million a year?
I have 2 of them that make 40, Russell and James.
By the way, they are good players.
They are good, but yes, they are getting paid
Could
because
I
there's a
ask you, just out
collective
of
bargaining agreement, and that's why.
Tillman, what's going to happen with basketball? Can you give us because I would be interested. Do you have any idea what they're doing now?
Yes. I think what they're doing is waiting to see what happens in certain states and if we're going to be able to play. Making sure the virus continues to go in the right direction in the next few weeks. And I think that if things keep going the way that it's going, I think.
Which of these people are high right now?
Adam Silver, who's done an unbelievable job through this, and the 30 the owners, I think, will make the decision to try to start the season up again.
Will you finish the season or not?
I think that there's talk about finishing the season, playing X amount of games. The players need to play to get paid, and right now they're taking a 25% pay cut.
Oh God!
And because they own 50% of our revenues, the players, unlike the other sports, and so they want that revenue and that television revenue, even if it's not the people in the stands revenue, so they can.
Has anyone
paid.
ever seen a whinier billionaire? I mean, just whiny in the traditional sense of the word.
I think that we would play some games just to get it going again and create the interest and then go right into the playoffs. But I think it'll be great for America. We're all missing sports and everybody, wants to.
Other than Trump, obviously, what an idiot I am. Other than Trump, has anybody seen a whinier billionaire?
Wait for us, Mr. Secretary.
Well, Steve, what do you think about that? I mean, he's got a unique situation. He has a lot of restaurants. It's a big company, but
but I can't pay them.
You have other people where the company is the same size, but you have 2,000 owners. What do you think of that?
Well, it's a complicated issue, Mr. President.
That is
As I've said before, we didn't anticipate the Los Angeles Lakers, who I'm a big fan of, would be taking a PPP loan. And as a result of that, there was a lot of backlash around
Who paid
that,
it back?
and we went through the certifications.
I'm saying that for the media.
And,
they paid it.
Again, we realize the issue, how it impacts your workers, and we're sympathetic to that. This was a program for companies that were not necessarily quite as big, but
but this is different than the Lakers. The Lakers are a basketball team. This is a man that owns how many restaurants do you own?
600 restaurants, but they're all full-service restaurants. I have 60,000 employees, and you don't have the ability to pay them.
They got to move on from this dude. This is really cringe.
In front
No,
of
but
all
it
of
is
our
interesting
friends,
for the
but,
press to hear it because they understand the complexity of it. So if he had 600 owners and he franchised them out or something, but he had 600 owners, they qualify. If he has, if he owns it, it's a different situation, but I can understand what he's saying. So let's take a look at it.
And then just one more thing. If we could just do something with lease terminations, because I'm the largest operator in New York for full-service restaurants, and the $1 million leases. Let them protect their rights, the landlords.
What's your largest restaurant? What is it, New York?
Del Frisco's, Mastro's, Martin's, the Strip House, the Bill's Burger and Rockefeller Center, Dos Caminos, on and on. So. But
this guy's got to have some sense slapped into him. Am I right?
Hit by the plague, right? But outside of that, you've done a hell of a job.
Just trying to keep up with it.
It just brought you back to earth a little bit.
We were definitely brought back to earth.
You really have. You've done a fantastic job.
They're going to go from this guy to gerbil voice Jared now.
Say, you paid me rent for a long time, right?
Absolutely.
For Rainforest.
Never missed a payment.
And you were never late. Now you're
a tough
great,
landlord.
A great gentleman. Really a great gentleman. Steve, it's an interesting case, okay? Do the best you can. Good luck with the basketball.
Thank you, sir.
You have a hell of a team.
And
thank you.
all of you.
Say hello to those two great players, all of your players. But, man, they can play, huh?
They can play.
So you say they make $40 a year.
Russell and James both make $40 million a year, and they were still getting paid. So a lot of my employees really wanted that PPP money.
You want them to play this year?
It's not really
Yes,
funny,
sir.
actually.
How many more years do you have together, right?
The NBA players are fine, but then this guy's got 40 grand he wants to hand out from the government, 40,000 he wants to hand out from the government in order to keep on.
Sudden you get a big ring.
Good luck. Thanks, Tillman.
Thank you, sir.
Jared?
I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's been incredible to watch all the innovations that you've been doing in your business models to give more confidence to the public, to get open. The president identified this very early as a critical industry for us to focus on for a few reasons. One is you're a major employer. There's a lot of people who are hurting right now because the restaurant industry is closed, but also you're a gem of America. People love
Sinister,
getting entertainment and
Jared.
enjoyment from the great work that you do. So this has never really been an issue before because the restaurant business has never been closed before for a period of time. So this is truly a unique historical situation that's occurred, and we're all in this together to try to figure out the best way back. But the quicker that we can help you figure out how to get demand up, the quicker you can hire back employees, and we can get
Jared's
Americans
such a
back
big
to
boy,
enjoying
isn't he?
all of your fine establishments. So thank you for all you're doing, and thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership.
So, Tillman, he took a ventilator job where the country basically had no ventilators, essentially, and built an incredible empire for building ventilators in a period of very short time. And now we're supplying ventilators all over the world. It's an amazing thing. We got no credit from the fake news media, but what are you going to do? Can't win them all. And now the testing today on the Washington Post, they actually had a headline that the testing is there, but the people aren't there. We have so much testing. I'm sure the person that drew that headline in the Washington Post will be fired today sometime.
In the state of Texas, I know for 6 weeks, any employee of mine could go to numerous places and get tested and not even stand in line. So when I watch and see everything that people cannot get tested in America, and I don't know about all the other states, but I do have employees that have been tested in other states. I just follow it closer. There has not been an issue of people getting tested.
And, they sort of knew it. But
And we were even tested here this morning.
I think you should be entitled to it now, Steve, definitely. But,
and Mr.
yeah, no, we've done, really, it's been an amazing.
100%.
It's been an amazing job. Been an amazing job. We made a lot of governors look good.
And Mr. President, I will say yesterday you had your #1 day in America, 422,000 tests performed, and you're about 11.5 million tests performed now in the U.S. thanks to your leadership.
Numbers that would have been.
Your #1 day.
Could say that, right?
Can you imagine?
Numbers that would have been, John, those are numbers that could have been talked about. Nobody would have believed it. So anyway, so please.
Mr. President, like yourself, I'm a New Yorker and a career changer. I was a former bond trader at Goldman Sachs, and now I own restaurants in Brooklyn, most notably Lilia and Missy in Williamsburg.
Good.
We help make every day a good day. Along with Thomas and Will, we're founding members of the Independent Restaurant Coalition, and we're grateful to have a seat at this table for the first time. The impact catalyzed by this pandemic is enormous. The prolonged economic shutdown created challenges for our industry that has to be met with policy to inject liquidity, investment, consumption, and hiring. The immediate and coordinated response by your administration to support out-of-work employees was inspiring, and it should make us all proud to be Americans. The intention of PPP to support small businesses and restaurants was pragmatic and encouraging. We have all agreed that it wasn't perfect, but we're working on it to fix it so that it could help us. But we need those fixes now. Like me, I have it, and I can't use it. I'm in the clock zone of 8 weeks. PPP is a bridge.
So do you agree with what they're saying in terms of timing?
Immediately, it must happen.
And you agree with the 24 number?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you guys meet before this or something? No, did you have a little meeting to discuss this, perhaps? Yeah, okay.
Well,
now I feel better because everyone's exactly wants the same thing.
What is incredible about this Independent Restaurant Coalition, this did not exist 7 weeks ago. Restaurant owners didn't talk to each other, ever. And we were able to
bring people together.
Yeah, it's amazing what Trump's been able to allow coronavirus to be bad enough that these guys now have a relationship. That's beautiful.
Thing.
I'm only kidding.
We've been able to talk. We've been able to be creative and figure out ways to bring this
That's
industry
great.
back.
I think it's great. You got together and a lot of good suggestions have been made, and it's been made uniformly, so we really know your opinion as opposed to having all different ideas.
That's correct.
That's really great.
So PPP is a bridge. It will help restaurants reopen our doors. It'll help restaurants reemploy 11 million workers that are currently not working. In an effort to keep those doors open and to keep our people employed, we've proposed a stabilization plan, and we look forward to discussing more in the future with you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great. How did you go from Goldman Sachs to the restaurant business? How did that happen?
David Solomon didn't think I was very good at bond trading.
Oh, I'll bet you were. I'll bet you were very good.
Okay.
Are you glad you made that move?
I am. It's changed my life for the better on every
See, it's
every
just,
facet.
you love the restaurant business, right?
I love it.
I have friends that are in the restaurant, they love the restaurant. There's no business they want to go into.
We view you
like
as
the
one of us.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
scary.
great. I know your business very well. People, unlike, well, you know, there are other businesses, but just about as much as any business, they love being in the restaurant business. So that's great.
It's good to get out of the.
So you made a good move.
Oh yes.
Did you make a good move financially?
I did, very well.
It worked out fine too.
Our restaurants are more profitable than the hedge fund that I worked at for 7 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's scary.
Yes. Now we don't have to give them anything.
But I want to go back to that because I want to reopen as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Thank
okay,
you.
great, good job too. I know the one restaurant. I know it's great.
Thank you very much.
Gene, this is a man of great genes. His name is Gene, and his father was a terrific gentleman. You know that, right? Great talent. Go ahead, please.
And a great mother too, right?
Maybe your mother's even better.
There are few industries where the workers have been hit as hard as in this particular industry, as Will was touching on. We announced 20.5 million payroll job losses, basically from the middle of March to the middle of April, and 5.5 million of those, more than a quarter, were in restaurants. Mr. President, you saw this coming. You acted with really extraordinary speed, and I think, as was said, generosity, among other things, in the unemployment benefit that was provided in the CARES Act. We at the Labor Department have been working extremely hard with the states to enable them to make that payment. As you touched on, they've had some problems because of their computer systems, which are old. Secretary Mnuchin and I cautioned the Congress that there would be problems, but we will continue to work with them to get those payments out. But even as we do that, we know that we're pivoting. We're opening. We're reopening across the country. There are glimmers and more than that as we begin that reopening, and so we will be focusing too on helping workers transition from unemployment back onto the job. And you hear a lot of numbers. A number that really sticks with me is a couple different surveys have shown, federal surveys have shown that 90% of workers who are unemployed right now have said it's temporary. And I want to make that right. I want to make that true. That's why, Mr. President, you want to safely but promptly reopen. And so we'll continue to work with.
That's a very important number.
90%.
If you go into a real big recession and you don't have a number like that, that's a tremendous number. That's really a great, it's a testament. Because again, it was artificially turned on and off, but now it's off and we're going to turn it back on. It's been turned on as of, I don't know, it almost feels like today is the first day. I think last week didn't feel the same. Now it feels good. People are starting to go out, they're opening, they get it. We understand the disease much better than we did when it first came in. Nobody understood it. Nobody's ever seen it before. And it feels much different. I mean, today's almost like the first day. But the expression that we like to use, right? Transition to greatness, we're going to be back. And what you said is a very important thing. People expect to go back.
And by moving quickly but safely, we get them there. And I had discussions with several of you about safety. We're very focused on that at the Labor Department, giving workers, and I know you're focused too, on giving customers the confidence as they return. And we'll continue to work with CDC and others to help on that front too.
And Gene, you have to help the truckers also.
We've been talking about the truckers, Mr. President. I can give you a report.
Because they've been out there, and I'll tell you, they work hard, and they have brokers that take a lot of their business away. They don't work so hard. They sit in an office someplace. It's not good. So I'd like to help the truckers.
Yeah, Elaine and I have been talking.
All right, good, please.
Beautiful.
Mr. President, Secretary Mnuchin, Vice President Pence, Secretary Scalia, thank you for having us here today. Of course, I'll echo what everybody else has said, how proud we are to be sitting here at the White House in your home, to be able to share some of our struggles and hopes and aspirations. The restaurant profession is a profession that's always dynamic, and you've seen that around this table with some of the things that my colleagues are doing, but we're also very united. As you've seen, and you just responded to the 24 weeks. Did we have a meeting before? Certainly we had a meeting before. Did we talk about it? Certainly we talked about it. Because we want to be unified in our approach, whether you have 650 restaurants, 2 restaurants, 6 restaurants, 1,000 restaurants, it doesn't really matter. We all are nurturers at heart, and we want our restaurants to reopen so that they can nurture our guests, our communities, and finally our country. There's something to be said for going last, because I just want to agree with everything that everybody else has said around this table. so I won't repeat it and bore us with more of the same. But I will tell you a story, a personal story, two personal stories, if I may.
Oh, no.
One about the PPP, and thank you very much, because it's been a lifesaver in many ways for me. I have restaurants, of course, where I have not been able to use the PPP yet. But I also have...
Why is that?
Because we can't open yet. And there's no point in me hiring back my staff.
Where is that? Where?
California, New York, Las Vegas, and South Florida.
I mean, I hear they're going to keep Los Angeles closed till the end of August. Is that a fact?
That's a good question. I'm in Napa Valley, but I'm not really sure about Los Angeles. I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's the mayor wants to do that.
Okay.
That's a death wish. Because, you know, there's death on both sides. You
Right.
know that.
There's death from staying
on
home.
both sides, not just a one-way street. And we solved a big problem, but you have to understand the other side of it, too. And they don't understand the other side of it.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
On the other hand, our consumer product good division, where we have 4 different businesses, has been thriving. And we have taken our PPP money and then rehired 100% of the staff in those 4 companies. So I look at that, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful for all the work that you and your team have done so quickly to help us. On our restaurant side, I echo what everybody else has said. It's a little more complicated. I also want to thank you for voicing your support of BIG, which is our business interruption group, which I started with a couple other chefs, and has grown quite large. And we've started to make some inroads with the insurance companies, certainly with some of the congressmen and some of the senators. So we continue to work on that for all businesses, not just for restaurant businesses. Finally, I want to talk about a small farm in Orwell, Vermont. A small farmer named Diane St. Clair, who is by herself with her husband. And this is about the supply chain and how important restaurants are in so many different aspects. But we reduce it down to individuals that we know, that we love, that depend on us as restaurateurs and as chefs. It's a woman who has 8 cows, who gets up every morning 7 days a week to milk her cows, let them out the pasture, begin to make her butter, bring her cows back at 4 or 5 o'clock, milk them again, and put them to bed every day. I am the sole source of her revenue. She's not able to.
What a dynamic, compelling, and inspirational speaker.
The impact that restaurants have in our communities, in our states, and in our country are extraordinary. We are, in many cases, the first job people have. My first job was in a restaurant as a dishwasher, making a little less than $350, but that was just of my age. And being able to move up. We give people the second chance in restaurants. And finally, people's last jobs are in restaurants. Those who are retired and on benefits are augmenting their benefits by working in restaurants.
Nice image,
we don't really care about your education. We're not concerned about where you come from.
Can't retire, so you're working in a restaurant at age 80. Is that a dystopian story or an inspirational story? What does it say about Social Security?
Single parent women's. It's just extraordinary how much we embrace our entire country and what we do. And what we do at heart is we nurture. I became a chef, and I remember the day I decided to become a chef. I'd been cooking for several years. July 1977 in Narragansett, Rhode Island, working for a French chef named Roland Hennon, who asked me one day, "Why do cooks cook?" And I was certainly intimidated. I was young, and I said, "Chef, I don't know. Why do cooks cook?" He said, "We cook to nurture people." And there was something inside of me that resonated with, and I embraced the idea of nurturing people. And I have 1,200 employees. There are over 11
So how many died today, and how close are we to the vaccine?
Today that I desperately want to bring back to work so that we can not only nurture each other, but nurture those who come into our restaurants. Again, I want to thank you for having us here today. I want to thank all my colleagues for articulating everything that we wanted to say in such a profound way, and I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Beautiful story with the woman with the 8 cows.
Yep.
You wouldn't think that. Restaurateurs do, especially, I guess, some with an individual restaurant or a couple of restaurants, they do that a lot, don't they? They buy directly.
They do. Yeah, we support so many small farms around the country. I started an initiative called Big Hearts and Small Farms with 5 other chefs, just so that we can offer people an opportunity to buy some of the food from some of these small farms around the country.
Tillman doesn't do that. I don't think you do that with your 8 cows, right? He doesn't do it.
It's a little different, but it goes from the very small to the very big, and that's what restaurants are all about, and I'm proud to be part of this community.
What's the difference in butter? Tell me, the difference in butter between what she sells you and what you would normally be able to buy at a curiosity. I don't want to.
It is extraordinary because it is truly a seasonal product. So the butter changes flavor and color depending on the season. So in the spring, when they're eating green, when they're grazing on grass,
Trump doesn't care about this.
The butter is
That's
a beautiful
fantastic.
orange hue, and of course in the summertime it turns lighter because they're eating hay. So, and the
Mike
flavors
just said there's
taste.
no comparison. He knows.
It's just there's a tremendous difference in butter from. Oh, yeah,
and you
it's
probably pay less too. Right?
Well, I don't know how much I pay. It's not about how much I
no,
pay.
but
It's about supporting her and what she's trying to do.
Right, but would you pay less, generally speaking, when you
No.
do those things you do directly with a farm?
You know,
Yeah,
I
artisanal handmade butter is going to be more than getting that stuff from Cisco Food Supply.
quality because
Yeah.
we're about quality
Okay, good.
and building relationships with people. I've been buying Diane's butter for over 20 years.
No kidding.
She did tell me one time. I'll tell you a little story again if I can.
Oh my God.
That she had to raise the price of her butter, and I said, Diane, I really don't know how much your butter costs, but I appreciate you telling me this. And she said, but I also want to tell you why. And I said, okay, tell me why, Diane. She said, my son was accepted at NYU, and I need to pay for his tuition. This is what happens when a guest goes into a restaurant and spends $1. You're supporting all of these people. You're supporting this young man who's going to get a degree from NYU. Should I negotiate with her on price?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's great. Thank you very much. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Well,
I think the media wants us to go quickly. I
Yeah,
look at John, he's
I'll
over
be,
there.
I'll go very quick.
He wants to hit us with a question so bad.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and I have had the great privilege of sitting in this room alongside the President on many occasions over the last 3.5 years. I don't know that I've ever been more inspired by the optimism, the resilience, the love of what you do, and the people that you employ and the people that you serve than I've been today. So thank you all for sharing your stories. The President has brought together here our top economic team, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of the Labor, all the people that have been involved in standing up the whole of government response. But
Do you guys think this works? Like, will doing this and just not talking about the virus and what's going on and stopping the spread and well, how long can this work? I just don't. I don't know that I understand the strategy. I understand the strategy. I question how long it can work. Maybe it can work for a long time. I don't know.
my friend considers himself to be one of you, and he always will. But he understood when we asked the American people and we asked businesses like the thousands represented here to shut down, to go to drive-through services, to find ways to innovate to meet your customers. We knew the sacrifices that were involved in that. The President directed our economic team to find a way, paycheck protection, to stand up and come alongside. But your decision, your company's decision to put the health of your employees, the health of your customers, the health of your community first, saved lives. And you are to be commended on behalf of the President and all of us who've worked 7 days a week on this issue here at the national level. I want to say thank you. The President and I are going to dismiss in a few minutes, and we're going to go to our weekly call with America's governors. And I'm proud, as the President is, that as we sit here today, 48 states have announced plans to reopen. It was a month ago the President had our task force release a plan to open up America again. And America is opening back up. And I just want to assure you that the counsel that you have given us today will continue to inform ways that we can support not just this industry and the communities, but support your state's efforts to safely and responsibly reopen and put America back to work. One last thing, Mr. President. One of the great success stories of this pandemic has been that the food supply has not been interrupted. And I honestly didn't know, Mr. President, before we got into this, that roughly half of America's food needs are met in restaurants and in those 650,000 establishments that we're talking about here today. And through this pandemic, not only did you innovate, you found ways to continue to meet that food need and keep food on the table of Americans. But I also heard just a week ago that it was restaurants that were transferring what you had in storage to your local grocery stores, to your local food banks, to make sure that Americans didn't miss any meals in the course of this pandemic. So for all those reasons, I say thank you, and just know that in this president and in this entire team, we are going to be partners with you, and we're going to bring back America and all of America's great restaurants bigger and better than ever before. And it's going to be sooner than you think.
Mike, what are the 2 states that did not open?
48 states have released plans. There's 2 that are, we expect them to be releasing plans very soon.
Who are they?
I'll get that to you before we talk to the governors.
Is Connecticut?
Can't do anything. So
It'll open. It'll happen quickly. So just briefly, the Paycheck Protection Program has delivered over $30 billion in aid to more than 250,000 restaurants. Up to 95% of that funding is going directly to the workers' payroll. You know that? On Friday, the SBA published the loan forgiveness application, which ensures that all businesses, including restaurants, will not be penalized as long as they make good faith efforts to rehire all of their employees. You know that? I signed a bill providing federally funded pay to sick people that are sick and for family leave. So you have for sick and family leave, and that's a very important bill. So you have federally funded paid sick and family leave. And I think some of you are taking advantage of that. Businesses can defer paying income taxes until July 15th. We gave that extension. Business can claim tax refunds by deducting their losses from the 2018 through 2020 against taxes they paid for the previous 5 years. That's a big deal. And then, as you know, we're going to Congress, and this is more pertinent to what we're talking because you knew all of what I just said. You've been living through it. Restore the restaurant deduction to help jobless restaurant workers. So if a company pays or somebody pays, they get a deduction. That's going to create a tremendous amount of business. I think you're going to have to open a lot of additional restaurants in this country. I think it's frankly more important than even the other things we're talking about. I guess short term, what you're talking about.
Everyone else
important,
disagrees.
But long term, the deduction would be phenomenal. Create an Explore America. That's Explore, right? Explore America tax credit that Americans can use for domestic travel, including visits to restaurants. That's a big deal. Grant restaurants more flexibility under the PPP. That's what we're talking about, right? And protect workers and businesses alike with curbs on frivolous litigation. A thing I know something about.
Frivolous litigation. I like
so we don't want somebody going and sitting in your restaurant, Tillman, and then suing you for $10 million because something happened. And they'll do it anyway. No matter what we give you, they're going to do it anyway. You know that. So I thank you all for being here. We'll take a couple of questions, John. And if you have any questions for these great restaurateurs, please ask.
Oh, well, Mr. President, first a question for you. Attorney General Barr says he is unlikely to have any criminal investigation of either Barack Obama or Joe Biden. You've been talking about what you call the greatest political crime in American history. What do you think of Mr. Barr's decision here?
Well, I think if it was me, they would do it. I think for them, maybe they're not going to. I don't know. I'm surprised because Obama knew everything that was happening. I don't think Obama knows
what was the crime again?
Where he, is in a lot of ways. I saw his statements the other day, and I think that, frankly, they weren't very good. It's President Obama. As far as Biden's concerned, I can't tell you. Only he knows what he knows. I don't think he knows too much. But I think Obama and Biden knew about it. They were participants.
What was the crime?
So I'm a little surprised by that statement. I don't think he said it quite the way you said it. I think he said, as of this moment, I guess. But if it was me, I guarantee they'd be going after me. In his case, they're not. So I think it's just a continuation of a double standard. I'm surprised by it. But that's where it is. And I don't know what he said about the others. You have to understand, I was coming into this room as that statement was being made. So I don't know exactly.
He said, we cannot allow this process, the legal process, to be hijacked by efforts to drum up criminal investigations of either candidate. He seemed to be suggesting.
Well, I think you'd have to ask him what that means, because I'm in no position to tell you that. I've stayed away from it. I'm relying on the Attorney General to do the job. And so I don't know exactly what he said, because I
Got
was
a shot fired at Barr?
Disappointed if there is no criminal investigation of Biden or Obama?
I don't say disappointed or not, but I have no doubt that they were involved in this hoax, one of the worst things ever to befall this country in terms of political scandal.
Any crime,
I have
though?
absolutely no doubt that Obama and Biden were involved. And as to whether or not it was criminal, I would think it would be very serious.
What's the law?
Very, very serious. It was a takedown of a president, regardless of me. It happened to be me. And in my opinion, it was an illegal takedown.
What's the crime,
But I'm going to let the Attorney General make all of those decisions. I've stayed out of it because it's the appropriate thing to do. I wouldn't have to stay out of it, as you know, but I've decided to stay out of it. So I would say that I heard that just a little while ago, a few minutes ago. I'll have to look at it exactly as to what was said, what was meant. I will say this. We have an honorable Attorney General. He's going to do an honorable job.
Unclear.
He's a very honorable man, and he's going to do a very honorable job. But I am surprised only in that I have no doubt, personally I have no doubt, but he may have another feeling. I have no doubt that they were involved in it. It's a hoax. It started off with a Russian hoax.
No doubt hoax involved, not a list of crimes.
It's just a whole big disgrace, and this country has better things to do. It's a disgrace. What they've done to this country with these phony investigations, the Mueller investigation was a waste of time from day one. They knew it was a waste of time. It proved to be a waste of time. I think there are a lot of bad people involved, and they should pay a very big price if they were caught. So we'll see what happens. But I rely on the Attorney General. He's a very honorable man. Okay, any other questions?
Do you agree with Peter Navarro, who said the CDC let the country down in terms of testing?
I think they work very hard. Don't forget, they've been here for many years. It's not, they don't work for me, they work for the country. They've worked very hard. When we took over in terms of, getting involved, Mike headed up the task force. He worked with CDC, and I could ask Mike to give you part of it. But I will say they had no test, and one of the tests had a problem.
Of course they had no test. It's a new virus.
But that was quickly remedied, and now we have the best tests anywhere in the world. I think I give ourselves a lot of that credit. A lot of the brilliant people that worked on testing, a lot of the brilliant people that worked on the ventilators, to a point where we have the best testing in the world. We have the best ventilators and distribution in the most ventilators in the world. It's not even close. So I can't tell. I would like to ask Mike that question. CDC, you work with them all the time, certainly much more than I do, Mike.
Oh, we do, Mr. President, and
all right, guys, we're
I
going to
think-
mute Pence, and in fact, this went so much longer that I am at the end of my time. I've got to get to a meeting, but I appreciate everybody joining me. I hear Kaylee MAGA Nanny may be doing a press briefing tomorrow. If she does, I'll be covering it. Thanks for joining me.